I'm Doug, this is Backcountry Pilgrim, a channel devoted to hiking, backpacking, camping, and the Camino. If you're into that kind of stuff, hit the red subscribe button and also click that bell if you want notifications when new videos drop. Today I want to talk to you about two cool pieces of technology that might be helpful to you on your way to your backpacking trip, if not necessarily on it. And the first one of these is the SungLife Emergency Radio. So a ways back, SungLife contacted me and asked me if I would check out this radio. And at first I thought it was kind of silly, it sounded kind of gimmicky to be honest. And at 35 bucks, that was a bit of money to spend on something that really was just kind of a toy. But what I've discovered is this thing is actually pretty darn cool. This is kind of a Swiss Army knife of technology. It's got a lot built into it besides the radios, but let's start there since that's kind of in the title. You will notice that the selector switch has not two, but three bands, FM, AM, and one called WB, and that stands for weather band. It's basically weather alerts running 24/7 on the radio. Now that's the front. Of course, you've got an antenna, you've got speaker. On the side, you have a flashlight that actually zooms in and out. On this side you have your tuner and your volume. So for example, right now I've got it tuned into, whoa. However, the most interesting features of this emergency radio are yet to come. For one thing, on the top you will notice a solar panel. That's right, this is a solar powered radio. So this has a built-in rechargeable battery that automatically powers back up when you leave this out in the sun. You can also flip it around to the back and you have a USB port to charge it from there. And I'll be saying more about that in a minute. You can also pop in 3 AAA batteries. And coolest of all, it's got a hand crank that gives you about 5 minutes of power for every minute that you turn that crank. And that plus the weather band is what really makes this kind of an emergency radio. You don't need to put batteries in it for it to work. And the features don't stop there. Flip up the solar panel and you've got a nice little reading light. Flip it upside down and it's got an alarm. So if you're out lost in the woods and you hear people crunching around and they're yelling for you, instead of yelling back, maybe you aren't able to, if you got this thing with you. Now, it's one thing for an adult to have one of these and get to play with some of the stuff, but I decided to really put this thing to the test, and I gave this to my 13-year-old son. Now, if there is anything wrong with a product, he will expose it. So far, the only thing bad, he broke the antenna head off. Now, without even extending this, it got solid FM AM reception. I am not able to get any weather band from here, but it may just be the area that I'm in. This thing really actually works. It's not just a toy. So for 35 bucks, pretty cool to keep in the car with you, either just for an emergency, or maybe you bring this with you. Now it weighs about 12 ounces, so it's not super lightweight. But I do know some people that actually bring radios with them when they backpack because they like to listen to the game, or they like to listen to some music as they fall asleep. The great thing about this is you don't have to worry about whether or not you brought batteries. This is going to work whether you have it loaded full of batteries or not. Now, speaking of batteries, that brings me to the second SungLife product that I'd like to tell you about. It's a car power inverter. Now, if you're like me, charging batteries is always a challenge. I've got a portable power brick that I bring with me when I'm hiking because I'm constantly recharging things like my phone or my camera and other things that I use on the trail. But there are some things I can't do, such as charge up my DSLR battery because it requires AC power. And that is where a power inverter comes in. It plugs into your car's DC outlet, and what it gives you is dual AC 110 voltage outputs so that you can plug in the kinds of things that you would normally only be able to charge up or plug in at your house. It also has 3 USB ports, an auxiliary DC lighter output, so that if you have something that runs off of that, you don't lose that plug by plugging the power inverter in. That's a lot of stuff to run off your car battery, so obviously you would only want to use this while you were driving. It is a full-featured unit. It's not just an adapter. It's not going to overheat because it comes with its own cooling fan. Just for comparison, I'm going to put the air conditioner at about 70%. It also has reverse polarity protection and a surge protector built in so that it doesn't short circuit. And if it starts to overheat or short circuit, it has an automatic cutoff. So by leaving this in my car, I don't have to stress that much that I've got everything charged up before a big trip. If any of my electronics did not get charged before I went on my backpacking trip, I know that I can run them off the power inverter in my car in the time it takes me to get up to the trailhead. So for 25 bucks, well worth the investment. Okay, that's it for now. I just wanted to make you aware of those items. They can be really handy in several different kinds of backpacking or camping situations. If this video has helped you out, would you mind giving it a like? Have a look at the description for links to these products. And until next time, I'm Doug. This is Backcountry Pilgrim. Take it easy. Pretty intense.